Recording in progress.
Hello, everybody, and continuing with our horror theme for October. Is this? No, we can do another one, can't we? This isn't our
Yeah.
last horror discussion. We are discussing today, and we'll try to stay on task. And I don't know where Rory is, and Dan's a little busy today or something like that.
I'm here.
We're going to talk. Jim's here, and Jim has already expressed he has nothing to add. So,
Yep.
Jim, if you need to redirect the conversation to something you want to talk about, go for it. I was going to talk about horror done poorly,
hmm
bad movies, or likewise horror that has aged poorly. Um, and the horror genre has the greatest ability to be terrible,
Yeah.
because it's going for the cheap scare. The low budget is easy. It doesn't need to be, oh, look who's here. It doesn't need to be. So then I said, Rory, what's that on your head? And take my wife, please. Hi, Rory.
Wrecked him, barely knew him.
Whoa, oh my goodness, in with hello, Rory. I don't know if you caught our topic, because everyone out there knows we plan weeks in advance. So you saw the spreadsheet, right?
Yes.
And we're gonna follow our
following.
Yeah.
I'm
The
tracking.
spreadsheet.
we are talking, Rory, about horror done poorly, bad movies, and
Poorly.
those movies that also have aged poorly. So maybe they were great at the time, but they have aged poorly. And I'm drawing heavily from Mystery Science Theater. I did not grow up.
I was
not,
just gonna say
yeah,
that.
yeah, I was not. We didn't watch a lot of horror movies when I was a kid. Some scary movies, maybe a little. But I didn't have much of that. But Mystery Science Theater was really what did it for me. I was starting to say that horror has, I feel like, the greatest opportunity for being terrible, because it seems like the one that's easiest to make. You get the cheap costumes, the jump scares, the cinematography
Mhm.
can be poor, the acting doesn't need to be great. It just needs to scare people. And so for that seemed to be through like the MGM monsters, which I know those are like sacred to some people.
Classic.
But
Yeah,
like
can't touch him.
the cheese can be so heavy, and people
Yeah.
accept as long as it's a little scary and there's more accept. Like
Yeah,
suspense has to be suspenseful. When it's not, it's not. You can't make really accommodations for it. It's just like, no, that was
That didn't
bad.
work.
Right.
yeah.
You can laugh and be and at the cheese of a horror movie, and even like so one of them that I
Evil
watched was,
Dead, top of the list.
oh,
Evil
Evil
Dead.
Dead. Yeah, Evil Dead is actually a little scary, and then
It's
it's
so bad. Good.
cheesy. Yeah.
Yeah,
um,
but Evil Dead's a little different because it's a comedy.
right, but it
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 wasn't meant to
has,
be. The first one wasn't.
right, the first,
Oh, really? I thought they
not
were all supposed to be
Yeah,
comedies.
it
the
was
Oh
dark
just
boy.
that bad.
darkness. Yeah, it was so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Then
but
they
they
laid
just
into it. They were
they
like, "Oh, we know
yeah,
what we got."
but yeah, it got so corny. There's a scene where they're getting chased to the house. You actually see the top of the house. The camera catches that it's a set. There's no roof on this set. Um, but like you go back to like The Last Man on Earth, Vincent Price, horror classic. It's been redone as
Oh,
Omega
Omega
Man.
Man, I Am
Um,
Legend.
I'm Legend. Yeah, it's
Yeah, same
Okay,
story.
yeah.
Charlton Heston, Will Smith. Um, it's bad. But in the 60s, okay, and I don't know,
Yeah, for
maybe
what they had.
maybe it was good, but there's just some scenes like, because they're vampires in this one. They're not zombies. They just kind of keep chasing him, but they're slow. And he's hung up garlic around his house. And so he gets to the door, drives his station wagon up into his haphazardly
I
into
love
his
that.
driveway. He gets out and he's shoving them out of the way. Like, they're not that scary. Like, get out of the way. And he runs into his house, and they're pounding on his door and his windows. And I can't remember if they're saying his last name's like Morgan, or so, like, Morgan, come out. It's so, but maybe the time, like Hitchcock movies. I love Hitchcock. Birds,
Mm,
It's
a,
not the
a
best.
little corny. Yeah,
It hasn't aged well.
my in-laws talk about it because they watched it way back, and then when the kids were born, my wife and they had friends over. Not my wife, but my in-laws had friends over, and they said, "You guys have to go. Just go down to your bedrooms. You can't come. Don't come out during this movie. It's really scary." And so my wife tells the story. She goes down there, and they're all just laughing. They're just laughing because of so. So from the 60s to the 90s, that movie did not age well.
No, well, I mean, you can say the same thing about like I guess it would be a horror classic, Friday the 13th.
Mhm.
The problem with like the gore, like when special effects rarely ever age well.
Yeah.
There's a couple exceptions, but in general, special effects don't
Jurassic
age
Park.
well, and that especially impacts horror because like when it comes out, it's like, oh my gosh, look at the blood, and now it's like, look at the corn syrup.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And they had no idea of high def now ruining all that stuff. So like
Yeah.
Everything.
they and people being able to pause the movie, rewind it, watch it over and over again.
Yeah.
The idea was it's going to be on the screen. No one will notice. What movie was it? Maybe it was one of the Creature from the Black Lagoon iterations or something, but bubble wrap was new. And so they used green painted bubble wrap. And at the time, most people didn't know.
Yeah.
What's like when you watch Star Wars, Luke's Uncle Aunt Maru and what his aunt and uncle. I'm sorry. And they got like
Ben Aunt Maru. Come on.
yeah, they got Tupperware on in their kitchen. Star Trek. There's an episode where Data is using this the space toy. It's just a toy that I had, and like it's painted with silver and like got like lights on it, but it's just a painted toy. But horror movies, yeah. Sorry. Mystery Science Theater. If those of you out there, they started off. They only did sci-fi because they were on the Sci-Fi Channel. Wait, no, they started on the Comedy Channel, which turned into Comedy Central. And then when Sci-Fi picked them up, they only allowed them to do sci-fi movies, and then they relented on that rule. But the number of horror movies it's just rife for riffing because one of the best is Manos, The Hands of Fate, and Rory is clearly frozen. I know he's had internet issues today. But Jim, if you have not seen Manos, The Hands of Fate, a lot of them are on YouTube. Manos, The Hands of Fate is, I think the director was challenged to make. He said, anybody can make a scary movie, and so someone did. And it just starts off with it's like 10 minutes of driving. It's a husband, wife, and kid, and they're just driving and driving and driving and driving. And then there's this character. Oh gosh, he's got like a manservant. And I can't think of the guy's name right now, but he's supposed to be like impish or like a satyr and walk weird, but it looks like he just has really thick thighs and like an injury, and he just walks weird. There's no plot really. They just run around not knowing what's happening. Torgo, right? Torgo is Manos' his manservant Torgo. Just so bad, and I love that one.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about like that contrasting, like that's just awful and cheese, but then you also have like stuff that kind of still holds up, which is like the Twilight Zone. I consider that horror adjacent at least.
Yeah.
I know it's sci-fi, but a lot of it like creeps you out.
Yeah.
And it still creeps me out. Like if I watch it, I'm like, and it's because they didn't rely on. I think it's the horror that's either bad at the beginning or doesn't hold up, relies a lot on special effects. And the problem is special effects almost always get outdated. But the movies that don't rely on special effects, they may have some practical effects and whatnot, but like that rely on just like maybe there's not a lot of blood. You don't need a lot of blood to make something horrific, right? Like in Twilight Zone and Halloween, both do that well because there's not a lot of special effects, so it's terrifying, right? Because it could be you, right? Like,
exactly. And I think Twilight Zone because they made so many of them, and the budget was nil for most of it. But it does. Some of them are a little hokey.
Yeah,
you watch and you're like, come on, because they were playing on a contemporary fear. A lot of stuff was Cold War kind of stuff. End of the world. Rory. Yeah, we're getting about half you. I'm sorry. We I think the internet knows that if we had Rory at 100%, you would
break.
Yeah, a lot of them when they're simple, but yeah, when the special effects fall apart, but then too, some of them you can't get over just the bad acting.
Oh
and
yeah,
and the no plot, or then you get these stupid ones which I don't even know what you classify, like Sharknado. They're they're just they're popular because of the campiness of them
The
and
B movies.
the pure stupidity. Yeah, or
Snakes on a plane.
yeah, was Samuel L. Jackson in it?
was that a horror movie? Was that supposed to be a horror movie? I thought it was just supposed to be Samuel
Animal
Jackson.
monster movie.
Just supposed
That's
to be
what it is.
suspense. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going through. I had a list of Mystery Science Theater. Beast of Yucca Flats. Reptilicus was a new one.
Jim, you're a brave man for wearing that shirt.
Yeah, I bet.
Cry
Brad,
Will,
baby.
I don't even know if Cry Wilderness is yeah. Jim's done for.
Jim off screen, blood splattered across the wall.
Yeah, the horror genre is tough to get right, and we mentioned this earlier. Like a lot of times, it starts off strong and then falls apart because you don't know how to land it. I think I mentioned The Happening, not The Happening. No, The Happening. Ooh, no, don't. I'm sorry. Delete that. That is maybe the worst movie ever.
That's
Not even
horrible.
The Haunting. The Haunting started off good. One that I think I like and I want to rewatch was The Others. It had Nicole Kidman in it. And
yeah.
ends up that in the end they're dead or something like that. But like there's ghosts trying to communicate them and they don't recognize that they're dead. But that one
keep
has some
locking all the doors.
Yeah, it's got some jump scares, but the
Haunting of Hill House was good.
That one's got a couple iterations of it. Is that the Vincent Price one?
Yeah, it started as that, but then there's the series.
The Netflix series.
It was good.
Mostly good, yes. It kind of there's a couple episodes that fell apart, a couple episodes that were slow, where you felt like they were filling the time.
Is it a like a horror? Like is it episodic or is it one long horror bit?
And it's short. It's like 5, 6
episodes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the dude in it, Roy, did you really know that it's Elliot from E.T.?
No.
He's the guy. He's the dad.
Oh.
Yeah.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The good, bad. The old ones. I had another. You said Haunting a Hill House. Sorry, I'm blanking here on one of the good ones. Oh, good one that low special effects, and I want to rewatch was The Conjuring. Almost no special effects. Again, a lot of the great camera angles. There's a whole scene where the camera is tight on one of the young girls. They're playing a game, like a hide and seek game, and she's blindfolded, so she's feeling her way through the house. And with the camera angle, you can't see what's in front of her. So she bumps into a
bookcase or something.
In the hallway. And then, so you don't know what she's walking into, and she goes into a room, and there's a thing up in the corner, on top of the wardrobe kind of thing, and it's like it's just because it's just when the camera goes through the door, and you see it for a split second, man, and because she's blindfolded, that's good. And
like Bird Box. People gave Bird Box so much guff, but I thought it was an interesting idea.
Interesting concept. It was okay.
What is Bird Box?
Sandra Bullock, one of the streaming services movies, right? It wasn't a theatrical. You can't look.
And there's you'll go crazy and kill yourself or something if you look
so
at the demons or
I don't remember, but and A Quiet Place. I mentioned
that was great.
Filmed in Western Europe, good, but it's one of those movies I can totally pick apart the premise. Like if they chase noise, why not just set up noisemakers?
Yeah,
and then have everybody be okay.
If you think about it too hard, it's gonna the whole series. I just rewatched it. I'm like, this falls apart here, here, and
Yep.
here, but it's entertaining.
The
whole premise of it is.
It is good. The same way.
It's like the Signs. It's like aliens, but water kills them. So they land on a planet that's mostly water, and humans that are mostly water.
Maybe they ran out of space fuel, and they're like, "Oh crap, we're just gonna coast. We're going on fumes." I liked Signs till the end. The Signs was good, and
scared me as a kid.
Yeah, it was unsettling.
That's the landing of a horror movie is tough. Probably tougher than making the rest of the movie.
Oh yeah.
The rest of the movie's hard, don't get me wrong, but the ending is like, how do you wrap this up in such a way that you leave the theater with a sense of dread, but not like
you make it a cliffhanger, that's how.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to. It's the only way.
It can rarely end happy, I think. It has to have something to leave you unsettled.
But how do you leave somebody unsettled, but not like just sad? Because it's like if the protagonist dies, that's okay. That sucks. How do you leave them in a state of fear?
And
it has to be something lingering.
I will say the latest Alien movie, Alien Romulus, does a pretty good job of leaving you unsettled at the end, but not like killing it. They don't. Yeah, I won't spoil it, but it's not sad, but it leaves you really unsettled. Like, whew. But that's Alien does a good job of that in general, I think. But
yeah, I think that the trope is they think they accomplished their goal, defeated the enemy, and then surprise.
Yeah.
The end? Question mark. That's
which is dumb.
Yeah. I just need to rewatch to see if it's to the test of time. The Tom Cruise War of the Worlds. I remember liking that one. That one's like 20 years ago. Oh, you don't like Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise is fine. That movie was not.
No,
I did not like it.
I don't recall being wowed by it.
Yeah, I need to. I'll rewatch it.
It wasn't horror. It was action suspense, and which is fine. I mean, H.G. Wells is tough to do into horror because it's not written like it was written as horror, but like it's tough to do.
It's sci-fi. Yeah.
But it was very. Yeah.
Rory has nodded off. If no one will see his screen because he's not making noise right now. So when we show this, there we go. We have not talked about the written word at all in this.
No, we haven't. We're almost out of time.
I know horror books that have. I don't know. I don't read enough horror. Just wasn't my thing. Suspense.
Right.
I don't know. So yeah, I got nothing to add. I mean,
apart from the classics.
Yeah, so like Frankenstein, and those have done well because they're more they're psychological and stuff. It's not for the jump scare.
I think books really like. I mean, unless it's like culturally based horror, like the books like I don't know, your tube TV takes over the world kind of thing, like okay. Right, or something along those lines, unless it's like based in a cultural sphere, like we talked about with it doesn't fall over time, but your sense of I think with book horror, it's different because you can't rely on a setting or a mood. You have to create that within the book without music, without dark setting, without like. You can't do panorama views, so you got to really draw from the imagination. And I think there are some books that do it well, like with Dracula, because it's written from these perspectives, from so many people's perspectives. It gives it this very real feeling, like, oh man, there might be a vampire who's preying on my kid or something like that, right? Whereas.
You have to make the environment a character into itself.
Right.
Yeah.
I think books that don't do horror well just kind of come across as bad adventure books.
Right. Yeah, things are going poorly for them. Yeah,
or tragedy, like just poor tragedy usually is where it ends up. But
this isn't horror at all, but suspense, and I know it probably was not the intent for flat out suspense because he wasn't that type of writer, but Lord of the Rings, when it leaves Frodo and Sam after Frodo gets stabulized by Shelob, that's you don't get back to him for hundreds of pages, maybe. Because the story for a long time, and so you're left like, what the heck happened to Frodo? If you
and then you go into the first half of Return of the Kings, which is going back to the other group.
Yep.
It just kind of leaves you hanging. It's true.
A long stretch. And books can do that. I like that. I like that books can go chapter to chapter and a lot of times leave you wondering what's happened with one of your groups. So that's good for suspense. Either way, horror is tough all the way around. And I've not even tried it. I'm not clever enough.
I'm working up a couple of stories in my head.
I have an idea too. I got ideas, but I don't know how to make them happen.
I've written a short story with horror. I think that's more doable because you don't have to keep it going for longer and you can leave things a little bit more open-ended, where it's in a novel. You kind of
like Lovecraft did that. Everything was a short story.
Yeah. And mysteries similar. I mean, all the Sherlock Holmes books, I mean, all but like 3 of them, 2 of them were short. They're all short. Hey, so I know we're probably needing to wrap up. What do we think about cryptids next time?
Oh yeah, I'm down for that.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So look forward to cryptids, and as always, do all the liking, sharing, and subscribing, and all of that good stuff.
You know what to do. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Roy. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, everyone.
And
see you guys.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Recording stopped.